Thanks for joining us. Great mix of people we love to see. I'm Danny. Nice to meet you all. I'm a creator and community manager at LinkedIn. Yes, LinkedIn, we do have a creator team. I think LinkedIn is really changing. We're going to touch a bit on that, but I don't want to talk too much about me. I'm here with Hugo. He just became the GP of Intuition. He announced it on LinkedIn 2 days ago. I'll let Hugo share a bit more. But besides everything he has been doing, which is a lot, and for those of you who don't know, Hugo is one of the OGs, I would say, at least in my eyes, when it comes to the creator economy. Some of his early pieces around creators in the creator economy really pushed me into getting into the space, so thank you, man. And I'm also here with Jolion. He's the founder of OK Cool, very cool content studio, and overall one of the coolest guys I know, so very on brand. But briefly, guys, I would love to hear from you, a quick intro and what you guys are doing.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Hope everything is going well. In a nutshell, I am launching a new VC fund, which is investing in super early stage startups in consumer and culture. Because essentially, when you build in consumer, you're trying to change culture, and for me that's the only thing I want to do, and it's the only type of founders that I want to back. So just started that a couple of days ago, literally, like we were gonna mention, like we did it on LinkedIn, and before that I was working for a company called Jelly Smack. If people are familiar with the company, it was working in M&A. We acquired companies and sort of like integrated them in the space, and before that I was helping founders for my whole life. That's what I thrive doing.
Hi guys, I'm Jolion. I run a company called OK Cool. I'm one of the co-founders. We started the business 8 years ago, and we are a creative content studio. We work with many of the most prestigious, exciting, forward-thinking brands on the planet, across the full strata, from organic to paid to influence and creator content as well. We just opened in America a couple of years ago. We opened an APAC office in Melbourne, and I'm really excited about continuing to grow the business that I love so much, that I co-founded with my best friend all those years ago. So I'm having a great time.
Love it. Before diving into some questions, just to break the ice a bit and to make this more engaging, I wanted to ask you both, starting with you, Jolion, what's not on your LinkedIn profile that maybe it should be?
Oh, wow. Ooh. I'd have to say my criminal record.
Now I see why there's a gap.
Of course, I'm kidding. I don't have a criminal record, or at least not in the United Kingdom.
Now I see why there's a gap on your LinkedIn
Correct.
profile.
Intentionally. Up until a week ago, I would have said politics. But I violated my own rule last week because Nigel Farage posted a bizarre TikTok tirade aimed at Nike, calling them out for being woke. And he did so wearing a pair of Adidas sneakers, which is probably about the worst unintended PR disaster that Adidas could ever have expected. And I jumped on it and I posted about it. And I violated my own rule about not posting about politics. And 5 minutes after I did, a creator that I look up to on LinkedIn, who's much better established than I am, just shot me a DM and he's like, "That's a sketchy one, dude." And I was like, "I know." I know. So it's probably good advice, and I don't think I'll be posting about politics again.
That's a good answer. Hugo?
I don't know. I'm trying to be as authentic as possible on LinkedIn, to be frank. And but one thing though, like that I'm trying to do more on LinkedIn, and that didn't happen, is I'm trying to share emotions as well, right? So like not like, okay, this is how I'm feeling and stuff like that, but on LinkedIn and when you publish content online, like you tend to be really intellectual, right? You tend to be like about what you understand from the world, from the businesses, all the rational thinking, the rational world. And I want to keep doing that, of course, because it's amazing and it works and it's relevant for people. It was for you. But I want to put a little bit of more heart into it. So that's maybe what's missing from my LinkedIn right now, and a bit of heart.
Love it. Great. Moving again to some questions. Before going into executive content and LinkedIn specifically, Hugo, I wanted to ask you again, because for me, you're one of the early OGs in the space. How are you seeing the creator economy changing? What trends or what things are you currently looking into, passionate about? And in the last 4 years, is there anything that's catching your attention when it comes to creators, content, and in general, the industry?
Yeah, for me, like I got into the creator space for a very simple reason. I love irreverent people. I love when you have like a sort of like a gatekeeper. I love to see the gatekeeper explode, you know, just like being out of the picture. And so I started originally 15 years ago looking at that with musicians, right? Be like, hey, you know, you're a musician, you have the internet, you can basically bypass the major labels and then do your own career like by yourself. And so I started writing about it, etc. And then when you saw the emergence of the video creators, which is what they were to music people, but like with video, then that actually happened massively. And so I started covering this. And so what we've seen for the past like 5-7 years is this like sort of like professionalization of the creator space. I've looked at that a lot, et cetera, et cetera. But more recently, especially with the short forms content being sort of like the things that takes most like everyone's attention, I've seen a lot of parallels, sometimes unfortunately, sometimes fortunately, in between the music business and the creator economy, where unfortunately or fortunately, it depends how you see it, but I always thought that when you give internet to people, you don't need permission to do anything, and it's great because everybody's got a shot, and it's true. Everybody's got a shot at becoming a creator. Everybody's got a shot at becoming an artist. But at the end of the process, most of the attention gets concentrated on like 2, 3, 4% of those creators. And so this is the things that I've been like exploring for the past couple of years in the creator space, is like what happens when the creator space start looking at the like the music business, right? Maybe you're gonna have like a universal music for creators, right? It's gonna be like a full stack sort of infrastructure with like financing, distribution, everything. And is it good? Is it bad? I don't have an answer, but that's the type of question that I'm exploring right now.
I completely agree, and just made me think about exactly what you're saying about permissionless, like lottery ticket. I always say like doing a post on LinkedIn or any platform is like a lottery ticket. You probably won't win, but something might happen on the back of that. And actually with Connor, I think I liked one of his posts. Then we jump on a call, and now I'm here, just because of like a post.
Yes.
So that's an exaggeration, but I think that's what's happening as well in general. Jolyon, I know you're super active on LinkedIn. One specific question I have for you is, how do you navigate the line between sharing content that's personal, professional? Is there even a line for you? Because I know you have a specific answer for this.
Yeah, I think so. It's interesting. I mean, I think the answer would be very different if I were the CFO of a chemical corporation or a civil servant. But my business is the business of culture, advertising, brands, creativity, energy. And I'm a founder. And the brand that I've built, the agency I've built, the company I've built is infused with my interests and my ideas about culture, my aesthetic principles. And so there's this sort of singularity to everything for me and OK Cool. And I've always maintained that I think businesses should, like the values of a founder should cascade through the business and be palpable and felt within that company. And I certainly think that that's the case for me and OK Cool. So when it comes to LinkedIn, again, there's a sort of singularity to the whole thing. The things that I want to post about and the things that I find interesting, there's a lot of crossover with the kind of content that OK Cool might put out or comment on or be interesting to. And I love that cohesion. I love that cohesiveness. It means, in life, it can be exhausting to run different narratives. It's like who I am at work, who I am at home, who I am with my friends, who I am in the cultures and the scenes that I'm a part of. Actually, one of the lovely things about getting older is hopefully, or at least in my experience, being able to unite all of those threads and just have one single expression of ourselves. And I guess in some sense, Hugo, that dovetails quite nicely with what you were saying about humanity and bringing more of your person and emotions into things. That's been an interesting journey for me, tactically and strategically applying the same thought process I might if I were gestating a campaign for a client, but thinking about it with myself as the protagonist and thinking, well, how much do I want to share with people? Where are my boundaries? What am I comfortable with? And discovering, much to my astonishment, that actually there are fewer boundaries than I thought there would be. You know, I'm cool with sharing somewhat personal and intimate details of my life if it aligns with the kind of thing that I want to share with my audience. And my audience are predominantly people who are curious about the intersection and the collision of creativity, business, entrepreneurship, advertising, ideas, energy. And if it fits that, I'm happy talking about it. And also, I sort of believe that you know, you have to agitate at these boundaries, and that's where personal growth comes from. So sometimes I write about things that might make me nervous or are a little bit scary, and 9 out of 10 times I'm grateful that I published it.
Love that, and I completely agree. I'm a bit biased working at LinkedIn, but I know there's been an evolution, a shift on LinkedIn. I think in the past, most of the content was from white male CEOs and very promotional, and now we're seeing people just coming to the platform, sharing their knowledge, their insights. We have Snoop Dogg talking about smoking. We have athletes, and just people being more genuine and just knowing the power of opening up. Just quick hands, how many people here post on LinkedIn frequently? Just would love to see. Yeah, so not many, but more than before.
And how many of you posted in the last month? Now keep your hands up if you posted in the last week. Okay, pretty good.
And who
strong showing?
Who did more than 100 likes on a post?
And don't forget to follow us. We get a few more followers.
Guys, it's cool now.
Jolly,
Did you know?
No, I mean, like just as a small backstory. I mean, people are posting on LinkedIn, and most people think that potentially like publishing content can change your life. It did change mine in a really, really simple way, and it kept on doing it for a long time. I started writing my thoughts online when I was 18, and I wrote about the music business. I was fascinated with music, and I was fascinated with entrepreneurship, and especially internet entrepreneurship, right? So I started writing my thoughts on a blog. I was 18, and I didn't post the pictures. Nobody knew that I was young. And suddenly, after a few months, like I started having like, you know, the director of Universal Music calling me to just do like, you know, consulting work or like advisory and stuff like that. And I was 18, you know, just like playing FIFA in my room. And so I realized the power of the internet where, you know, on the internet, you can be anyone. You can be a dog. You can be anyone, you know, it's just, you don't know. And so what happened is the same thing with the creator space. Daniel shared that like I am the OG, one of the OG of the creators. I'm not. Like Connor is. I'm not. I literally became obsessed with creators because originally I was obsessed with startups, right? Because for me, startups is what happened when you scale yourself without the permission from anyone with code, right? You push code on the internet, it runs, it scales, you don't need the permission. Same happened with the creators. I saw them like doing, you know, millions of views with video, which is content, not code, but essentially the startups and the creators are the two kids of the internet, and I love that shit. So I started writing about that. I wrote thoughts, I was obsessed. I followed my obsession. I was probably like saying a lot of dumb shit, but at some point, like some articles basically became viral in a small space, right? And massive people of amount like watched them. And everybody called me up. Literally everybody called me up. And next thing you know, he says I'm an OG in the creator space where the real OGs have been doing this for 10 years. I've been doing it for 2. And so just to say, you know, like there is no reason not to publish content online, especially if you don't know anything. And I finish on this because content is this amazing thing where it's both a single player game and a multiplayer game. It's both a single player game because when you write something about something, you start by understanding nothing and then suddenly you start to understand a bit about something. And it's a multiplayer game because let me tell you, if you remember the first time it happens, the first time someone will send you a message saying that your article, your post, changed them, you're hooked. It becomes a multiplayer game of like you connecting with the world, and then you're gone. It's forever. So yeah.
And I think that's absolutely one of LinkedIn's differentiator. It's much less about vanity metrics or about reach for the sake of reach. It's much more about reaching the right type of people and finding your tribe. And I always say, and because I went through that when I started posting, and I think I can post more, we all go through imposter syndrome, and I want to write about marketing, about the creator economy, but who I am to share about this. I'm not the biggest expert, but then just a subtle change in mindset where I understood that you don't need to be a 10 out of 10 in marketing to share something. You can be a 5 out of 10, and you can still teach someone that is a 3 out of 10. So I think that change in mindset really allowed me to put myself out there and share more. And I think all of us, well, especially here, but even when I talk to students or anyone, everybody has some sort of knowledge, something they're doing that they can teach someone maybe just a bit earlier. So I think that's kind of the power of LinkedIn and what we're seeing on a day-to-day. Jolene, I wanted to ask you something else, because I know you're super active on LinkedIn. I see you everywhere, and I think you're doing super well. How do you prioritize? How do you manage your time being a founder, doing with so many things, hiring? How much of a priority is content LinkedIn, and why? What are you seeing on the back of just putting yourself out there and sharing your ideas?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think like anything, in any aspect of running a business, you have to understand where your ROI is, where your unique value is. And I'm a big proponent of the sort of philosophy of figure out what you're world-class at doing, and then just double down on those things and try to outsource or delegate everything else. That's my personal philosophy. So within the range of duties that I have within OK Cool, it basically has to jostle for space among those, which is basically building the brand, the culture of the company, leading biz dev, and I guess a portion of that is thought leadership. Now, up until this point, I didn't have a voice online. But once there's so many parallels between mine and Hugo's story, and so much of what he said resonated with me. I started posting on this platform. I got positive feedback from the stuff that I posted. It encouraged other people. It enlivened them and inspired them. They were in my DM telling me that. That spurred me to do more. And with that, I guess I went to my co-founder and I went to my senior leadership team, my CEOs, my MDs, and I basically created a business case for doing more of it. Like, I need more time to do this. I need more time because there's ROI, right? There's tangible upside. Like, global CMOs of the most exciting brands on the planet are in my DM saying, this is really interesting. Let me build on something that you said, or they're in the comments doing that in real time. It's exciting. So then I present a business case for that with my business partners and say, I need more time to do this because there's ROI, but more than that, I love it. It's a vibe, right? It's something that is part of the gestalt of like my workflow. I find more interesting than almost any other stuff because I get to delve in and deep dive into things I care about, whether that's the anatomy of a Taylor Swift album launch, or it's different sort of trends that are percolating in culture or subcultures that I'm specifically interested in, or something's happening in brand world that I can comment on, or there's some legislation changing on the platform that affects our industry. And I realize I can write about that freely and enjoyably and energetically, and I can publish it, and it attracts the right attention from all of the right kind of people, whether it's young aspiring entrepreneurs who want to learn more about what I'm doing and it's inspired them, or it's my peers who I'm sparring with intellectually or culturally, or it's the kind of brands that I aspire to do work with. And it opens doors, it starts conversations. So in answer to your question, I would say, I think about LinkedIn in the same way I think about any other component of my work, which is create a justification for it, and then start thinking about it within the context of any kind of workflow within the company. So strategy, planning, allocating time, working hard at it, posting, evaluating, iterating, improving, optimizing in cyclical fashion, much the same way that tech entrepreneurs launch businesses. So the same sort of rigor and thinking goes into it, and then you sort of productize it. But punchline is, guys, if it's fun and you enjoy it, then that's good enough of a mandate for me.
There you go. Hugo, I thought that was, I wanted to know, I know you just became a GP for Intuition. Huge congrats on that. I know you've been working with founders for a while as well, and you're very much into the startup ecosystem. How much do you think, or how much are you seeing content and founders building in public, or how much content has a play in building a brand? How much do you think early stage founders are prioritizing content, or how much are you suggesting them to? I mean, they probably have more important things, building the product, raising money, but how does content play an important role in starting a company? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, it's all about timing, and it's all about the right time. Writing content is about scaling yourself. And it depends what you want to scale, right? So if you're the CEO of a startup, your job is a lot of sales. And sales not about like closing deals necessarily, it's about like convincing people. And you need to convince investors, you need to convince employees, you need to convince partners, you need to convince your community. Community is not the users, it's like everything that is around you. And depending on what you need to convince people of, or like what type of people, you can scale it, right? So I see like a lot of founders, initially they're crafting narratives and they're putting it out there, right? And they're crafting narrative to optimize for fundraising. So they want the story around their company and their opportunity to resonate with founders, with other investors, so the investors talk about that themselves. So that's one thing, you know. Then like you raise some money, then you start to have some form of product market fit. Your offering, you know, is working. Then you need to actually convince talents to join your company, because now you have money, you need to hire. So then, boom, you craft another narrative, and that helps you scale the vibe. You know, that's probably something you've seen a lot. You know, like I've had like countless of people just going into my DMs and be like, "Can I work for you? I'll do anything. I don't care. I just want to work for you, with you." And generally, like, content also self-selects for great people that, you know, resonate with something deep that you're saying, which is amazing because it's a cultural fit potentially that works a lot. And then, of course, you know, once you have talent and then you keep going, then you wanna sell. You know, you wanna find new partners, which is again something that you've probably seen a lot. So yes, it's all alongside the journey, but like with one caveat, it can be a defocus. And I'm gonna stop with this, but writing content creates like this dopamine loop about like reward and, you know, and this is fine, but when you don't have a product that works in a company, that can become a substitute of failing your company, succeeding at content. So don't miss the two. You know, it's like succeeding at content is not succeeding at your company, right? It's just like a way to scale yourself. So that's something important to keep in mind.
Important caveat, 100%. And I love what you said, and I see it that way, content as a magnet for all sorts of things, on LinkedIn especially, attract talent, deal flow, employee advocacy. So just you're ticking all the boxes, and of course you have to do it well, easier said than done, but if you put yourself out there with the right ideas, so many doors are opened, and you guys can attest to that. I think we have a few minutes left. This went really fast, which I guess is a good thing. We'd love to hear from you as well. Any brands, any founders you think are doing well the content game, the founder-led content, any standouts on LinkedIn or elsewhere, besides you?
Besides me, I'm going to answer a slightly different question. No shade to the quality of your question, which is great. But I want to tell you about what I think is most exciting about LinkedIn as a platform going forward, as a vector for founders and young people's and entrepreneurs and creative and business people's voices, and that is diversity of voice. I'm buoyed and excited and thrilled to see more POC creators joining the platform with interesting, exciting insights to share. It's especially resonant for me working in the creative industry, and I love to see that, and I'm here for it, and I'm here to support it, and so is OK Cool. So that's what I'm most excited about. Not a singular founder, but more of a sea change in who's using the platform.
That's a great answer.
I mean, I'm gonna skip also the original question and just say something about LinkedIn. No,
Shit question, apparently.
No, LinkedIn is LinkedIn is great, to be frank. Like, I announced my fund yesterday. We have 45 seconds, and I'm gonna make it work. I announced my fund yesterday on LinkedIn and Twitter. I did like twice the reach, both in terms of likes, in terms of views on LinkedIn than Twitter. So it's amazing. But on LinkedIn, like, I want to see more irreverent content. You know, please make it on the algorithm that irreverency, if it's English, just gets rewarded. I want to see fun stuff. I want to see like things that are like not just like for the masses, but for the crazy people, right? So I think that can happen. I think it will, and I will make it like my mission to actually make people a bit more irreverent on LinkedIn as well.
Well, I'm going to hold you accountable. I want to see more content from you, and love sharing the panel with you guys. We're just on time.
Thanks so much.